The city was silent. Buildings stood like broken bones. Ash floated in the air like snow. Old machines lay scattered, dead and rusting. In this ruined world, people searched for food, metal, or anything they could sell. Jocks was one of them, a scavenger. He walked alone, wearing a dirty coat and a mask to block the toxic air. Every day was the same. Walk, search, survived up, but today, something felt different. As he entered the junkyard, on the south edge of the city, he heard a strange sound, soft, like a whimper, not an animal, not a machine, a child. He stopped walking. His boots crunched metal. Again, the sound came. It was coming from a pile of trash, broken robots, burned plastic, and a broken food drone. He moved closer. Hello, he called. No. Answer. Jax slowly reached out and pulled away a large plastic sheet. Underneath, curled like a small animal, was a little girl. She looked about 8 years old. Her hair was silver and messy. Her clothes were torn. Her skin was pale, but glowing faintly. And her eyes, they were large and blue. Not just blue, bright, like they held light inside. Jock stepped back. What the hell? The girl blinked at him. She looked scared, weak, cold. It's okay, Jocks said softly, raising his hands. I won't hurt you. The girl didn't speak. She just stared. Then slowly, she sat up. Jax noticed strange marks on her arms. Like tattoos, glowing lines, moving slowly under her skin. Not normal, not human. Are you alone? He asked. She nodded. What's your name? She hesitated, then whispered something. Rhea, she said. Jocks barely heard it. Rhea, that's your name. She nodded again. He looked around. The junkyard was quiet, but he knew this place was not safe. Military drones sometimes flew by, and scavengers would kill for supplies, or even sell a child for food credits. You can't stay here, he said. Come with me. The girl didn't move. Jocks held out his hand. Trust me. For a moment, she stared at his hand. Then slowly, she reached out and touched it. Her fingers were cold. Her touch was light. But in that moment, Jocks felt something strange, like a tiny spark in his skin. They walked together, hiding behind wrecked vehicles and burnt walls. Back to Jocks's shelter, a small bunker under the ground. Inside, it was dusty but warm. He gave her water and a protein bar. She ate slowly, carefully, like she hadn't eaten in days. Where's your family? Jocks asked. She stayed quiet. Your parents. She shook her head. Jocks sighed. You don't remember? Rhea looked up. Her blue eyes seemed to glow brighter for a moment. Then she said softly, I don't know. I just woke up. Woke up. Where? Here. In the trash. That made no sense. A child doesn't just wake up in a junkyard. She wasn't dirty enough to be here long. She wasn't bleeding. And her body, it didn't look like any normal child. Jocks stood and went to his tools. He picked up an old scanner and pointed it at Rhea. The screen blinked. Unknown lifeform. Detected. Energy level. Active. Status. Not human. Jocks's heart raced. What are you? He whispered. Rhea looked at him with wide, innocent eyes. I don't know. That night, as Jocks sat watching her sleep, many thoughts ran through his mind. Was she an alien? A weapon? A lost test subject? Should he turn her in? No. Something inside told him to protect her. Suddenly, the power flickered. The lights in the shelter dimmed. Outside, a strange humming sound filled the air. Jocks ran up to the surface and looked at the sky. A small black ship floated silently above the city. No lights, no sound, just watching. Then it vanished like smoke in the wind. Jax felt cold. They were looking for her, and now, they knew where she was. He rushed back down and locked the door. The girl was still asleep, peaceful, but he knew. This peace wouldn't last. Something big was coming. Something that wanted the girl. Something that knew exactly who or what Rhea really was. It started with a nightmare. Rhea screamed in her sleep. Jocks jumped up from his blanket on the floor. Rhea, he shouted. The girl was shaking, her hands glowing faintly blue. Sparks danced from her fingers. Her eyes were shut tight, and she whispered strange words. Not in English. A language Jocks had never heard before. Then, silence. Rhea opened her eyes. She looked afraid. Jax knelt beside her. It's okay, you're safe. She looked around the dark shelter. I saw a fire. A woman in the fire. She was calling my name. Jocks didn't know what to say. He had never believed in visions. But Rhea was different. She wasn't normal. And something or someone was trying to reach her. He stood up and looked at the door above. We can't stay here. The night before, he had seen a ship, silent, watching from above. He knew what that meant. Someone was searching. And now, every second mattered. Later that day, the sky was red with pollution. The streets were quiet but tense, like something was about to happen. Jax wore a hood and carried Rhea in a large metal cart, covered with blankets. He made his way toward the edge of the city, the old train line. If he could reach the outer zone, there were people who could help them, or at least hide them. But then, it happened. A loud buzz filled the air. Jax froze. Above, 3 black drones flew past. They weren't regular patrol drones. These were newer, military, sharp, fast, and dangerous. One of them stopped and hovered above the street. Then, it scanned the area with a red beam. Jax pushed the cart into an alley and crouched. The drone's red light passed over the cart. For a second, Jax held his breath. Then, Rhea's skin began to glow. Just a little. The drone beeped. Target located, Jax whispered. He grabbed Rhea and ran. The drone fired a warning shot. A burst of energy hit the wall beside them, sending sparks everywhere. The sound of metal footsteps echoed behind them. Soldiers, don't stop, Jax shouted. Rhea was scared but held on tight. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply closed her eyes, and the air around them shimmered. Suddenly, a wall of dust exploded behind them, blocking the drone's view. Jax turned. Did you do that? Rhea looked confused. I don't know. They ran until they reached an old sewer hatch. Jax pulled it open, and they climbed down into the darkness. Inside the tunnel, Jax lit a small lamp. Water dripped from above. Rats ran along the pipes. Rhea sat down, her face pale. I'm sorry, Jax said. They found us. She looked at him. Why are they hunting me? I don't know, he said. But you're not normal, Rhea. You're something more. And I think they want to control it. Then, something strange happened. Rhea reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, broken piece of metal, something Jax hadn't seen before. It looked like a key, but it had tiny symbols on it. What's that? He asked. I found it. In the trash. With me. Jax took out his scanner again. The screen blinked. Data device detected. Hidden coordinates found. A map appeared, not of Earth, but of stars. There, blinking softly, was a planet marked with a symbol, a crown, and next to it, strange words translated by the scanner. Queen's bloodline. Active. Jax stared at it. Rhea, this thing is tracking you. She looked at the screen, then at him. What's a queen? He sighed. A queen rules a kingdom. She leads people. She's important. I'm not important, she said. But, Jax wasn't so sure anymore. Above the tunnels, a man in black armor stood on the rooftop of a ruined building. His eyes glowed red under his helmet. One of the drones flew to him and projected a map. She was here, the soldier said. She's moving west. Behind him, a woman in silver armor stepped forward. Find the girl. She must not reach the stars, she said. If she learns the truth, it's over for us all. Back in the tunnel, Jax looked at Rhea and whispered, You're not just a lost child. You're part of something much bigger, and we have to get you off this planet. Rhea looked up at him. Will you help me? Jax nodded. Until my last breath. But deep inside, he was afraid. He had no idea what they were about to face. And far above them, in the dark sky, someone was watching again. It began with a choice. Jax stood on the edge of the broken city, looking at the stars for the first time in years. The wind howled behind him. Smoke rose from the ruins. His hands were shaking. Behind him, Rhea held the glowing star map in her small hands. It showed a way out, a way to another world. A world where she might find answers. A world where people knew who she really was. But first, they had to survive the next hour. 12 hours earlier. They were trapped in an old train tunnel beneath the city. The sound of boots echoed above them. Drones flew by, scanning every street. Soldiers were blocking every exit. The hunt was getting closer. Jax knew they had one chance. The old spaceport, deep in the desert zone. It hadn't been used in years. But if he could reach it, and if the right ship was still there, they might be able to leave Earth. But there was one problem. The desert was guarded, and they had no transport. Rhea sat beside him, silent, thinking. Then, she said softly, I can feel something. Far away. It's calling me. Jax looked at her. What do you mean? I don't know. but it feels ... warm, like home. That was enough for Jocks. If she had a connection to that place, they had to go ... Hours later ... They walked at night, hiding in shadows. Raya wore a thick coat and kept her glowing hands hidden. Jocks carried a small EMP bomb, their last defense. Near the edge of the city, they saw it, the old train yard. Dead engines. Cracked metal rails. Broken lights. But something moved. Jax pulled Raya behind a wall. Through the cracked glass of a control room, they saw a woman. Tall, sharp eyes. Short silver hair. She was working on an old star cruiser. Who is she? Raya whispered. I don't know. But we need that ship. Her name was Lyra, a rogue pilot. Ex-military, now a smuggler. Jocks approached her carefully, hands raised. We need your help, he said. We need to get off this planet. Lyra didn't even look up. Then you better have something valuable. Raya stepped forward. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Lyra froze. Well, she said slowly. That's not something I see every day. In the hangar ... Lyra listened to their story. When she saw the star map, she went silent for a long time. Then she said, this isn't just a map. It's a royal tracker. That girl, she's not just anyone. Someone out there is waiting for her. Or hunting her. Jocks looked at Raya. Can you fly us there? I can try, Lyra said. But once we leave Earth, there's no turning back. Raya nodded. I want to go. They launched at dawn. The old cruiser shook as it lifted from the ground. Dust exploded into the air. Alarms screamed. Drones spotted them immediately. Jax fired the EMP bomb. The drones crashed like falling stars. But as they rose into the sky, a giant ship appeared in the clouds. Black, silent, shaped like a blade. They're here, Lyra shouted. Hold on. The cruiser dodged laser fire and punched through the last layer of Earth's sky. Then, silence. Stars filled the window. Endless space. Freedom. Raya stood at the glass, eyes wide. We're flying. But the moment of peace didn't last. A red warning light blinked on the dashboard. Incoming transmission. Unknown source. Lyra clicked the screen. A figure appeared. Tall, pale, wearing a crown of dark metal. Her voice was cold. Return the child. She belongs to the royal line, and she must never reach the throne. Raya's hands began to glow. No, she whispered, you're lying. The woman leaned closer to the screen. Ask her yourself. Ask the queen, your mother. Asterisk, it didn't feel like space anymore. The stars outside the ship window were still. But inside Raya's mind, there was motion, memories, dreams, voices. One voice above all others. Ask the queen, your mother. That name, mother, echoed inside her like a storm. But she didn't know her. She didn't remember a mother. Only shadows. Only fire. Raya sat in silence, staring at the black screen where the strange woman had spoken. Her fingers shook. Her heart raced. Could it be true? Was her mother really out there, and alive? On the ship's deck ... Jax paced back and forth. He didn't trust the message. It could be a trap, he said. Maybe they're trying to confuse her, to pull her in. Lyra checked the ship's scanners. That signal came from the outer zone. A place called Thalos Station. It's an old royal base, abandoned years ago. Then why would someone send a message from there now? Jocks asked. Raya stood up. Because she's there. They both looked at her. I don't know how I know, she said, but I feel it. She's alive. I have to find her. Jocks sighed. Even if it's real, Thalos is deep in enemy space. Full of royal guards, traitors, assassins. Lyra smiled, faintly. Then it's the perfect place for secrets. Hours later, they reached Thalos Station. It floated like a grave in the dark. Massive, cracked, silent. Pieces of metal drifted around it like ghosts. Lyra landed the ship on a broken docking bay. Stay close, she said. If something moves, shoot it. Inside, the station was dark. The air smelled of rust and old war. Flickering lights led them down wide halls filled with fallen flags and shattered windows. Raya walked slowly. The place felt familiar. Her steps echoed like memories. Then, a door opened on its own, with a whispering voice. Raya. Jocks pulled his blaster. What was that? But Raya had already stepped through. Inside the chamber, the room glowed blue. Floating screens lit up as she entered. Old technology, but still alive. Then, from the center of the room, a figure appeared, not in flesh, but in light. A hologram. A woman tall, proud, with glowing eyes and silver markings, just like Raya's. She looked directly at the girl and spoke. My daughter, if you are hearing this, then I have fallen. Rhea gasped. Her eyes widened. The woman continued, her voice warm and strong. I am Queen Orin of Illyria. You were born in hiding, far from war, far from the throne. I wanted you to grow in peace, but they found us. The royal bloodline is hunted now, and you, Rhea, are the last hope. Jox stood frozen. She really is the queen's child. The queen's voice continued. There is power in you, Rhea, ancient power, not just to rule, but to heal, to awaken what is broken. But that power must stay pure. The enemy wants to twist it, use it, control you. Rhea whispered, I don't understand. Why can't I remember you? The hologram flickered. The queen's eyes softened. They took your memories to protect you. But now, your heart will guide you. Trust it. The room shook. An alarm began to beep. Lyra ran in. We've got incoming ships. Fast ones. The hologram faded. But one last sentence echoed. You are not alone. And you are not weak. You are the daughter of the stars. As they escaped back to the ship, enemy fighters were already approaching. Jox and Lyra fired at them while Rhea sat in silence, staring at her glowing hands. Am I really a queen's daughter? She whispered. Jax looked at her. You don't need a crown to prove who you are. Lyra nodded. But maybe. It's time to wear one anyway. Above the station, a dark ship watched them flee. Inside, the silver-armored woman stood beside the same figure who sent the warning message. She's starting to remember. The woman said, we must act before the bloodline awakens fully. The man beside her, his eyes cold, replied, then bring the storm. The sky had no stars. Here, only black clouds, lightning, wind that whispered like voices from the dead. The planet below was silent, but not empty. As the ship entered the atmosphere, Rhea stood at the window. The world below looked cold, broken, wounded just like her heart. This is where she was taken, Rhea said. Jox nodded, checking his blaster. Then this is where we end it. Lyra stared at the black mountains rising through the mist. This place isn't on any map. It doesn't even have a name. They call it the place that remembers. Rhea looked at her. What does it remember? Lyra answered, without smiling. Everything the galaxy wants to forget. The ship landed in silence. Ash fell from the sky like snow. The ground was cracked and dry. Strange statues stood half buried in the dirt. Old alien, with faces carved in pain. As they walked through the ruins, the air felt heavy, like time itself was watching them. Rhea suddenly stopped. She touched one of the stone walls, and it lit up under her fingers. Ancient markings glowed blue. Shapes, symbols, and her name. Jox whispered. It's reacting to her. She's unlocking something, Lyra said. Old tech, or old memory. Inside the ruins, they found a hidden passage under the ground. A forgotten chamber, filled with old machines, long dead, until Rhea stepped in. Without a word, the lights came on. Holograms floated in the air. Records, history, and then a voice, a deep female voice. You have returned. Blood of the Queen, we have waited. Rhea's breath caught. A platform rose from the ground. On it, a message, a final recording from Queen Orin. This time, the Queen looked weak, injured, but her eyes still held fire. They have taken me, Rhea. They keep me here, locked deep. Within this planet's core, they fear you, not because you are small, but because you are pure. Your gift, your light, is untouched. You are what they cannot control. The Queen looked straight into the recording crystal. Come find me. Come finish what I could not. The image vanished. Silence. Silence. Then Jox said, she's alive. She's actually alive. Rhea stepped back, overwhelmed. But why me? I don't know how to be a queen. I'm just lost. Lyra walked to her and said, no, Rhea, you're found. This whole time, you thought you were trash. But this place, this planet, your mother, they never forgot you. You are the key to something much bigger. Suddenly, the ground shook. The machine sparked. The walls trembled. Jox drew his weapon. We've got company. Outside, black ships landed fast. Soldiers in red armor marched out. The royal hunters, silent, precise. But they weren't alone. A tall figure walked behind them. A man with silver eyes and dark armor. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a blood general, trained to kill royal heirs. His voice echoed across the ruins. Give us the girl, or this planet becomes your grave. Inside, Rhea looked at the broken machines, then at her hands, then at the wall. She walked forward, touched the stone again. This time, It didn't just glow. It opened, a hidden chamber below, filled with light. Inside, a throne floated in the center. Not a place to sit. A place to awaken. Lyra whispered. It's a power seat. The Queen's bloodline can connect to the heart of the planet through it. Rhea walked toward it. Jax called out. Rhea, wait. We have to go. She turned slowly. No. I have to become what I am before I can save her. She stepped into the throne. It accepted her outside. The soldiers prepared to fire. The general raised his hand. Then the planet screamed. A wave of blue light shot into the sky. The ruins exploded upward. From the earth rose Rhea, but not the same. Her eyes were glowing. Her feet hovered above the ground. Symbols covered her skin. Alive with energy, she raised her hand. The general's ship shattered in the sky like glass. The soldiers fell back. Stunned, Jax looked up, speechless. Lyra smiled, tears in her eyes. She's not hiding anymore. Rhea whispered to the wind. I'm not running, I'm coming. For my mother. Power changes everything. Rhea could feel it now, flowing through her like a river of stars. She could hear machines speak, feel the pulse of the planet. Even her heartbeat sounded different. Stronger, louder, ancient. But something else had changed too. People were starting to fear her. On board the ship, Jax watched Rhea from a distance. She no longer walked. She glided. She no longer asked questions. She gave orders. Even Lyra kept her distance. Rhea sat in silence, eyes closed, hands glowing. She had seen her mother's prison. It was real. Deep in the planet's molten core, guarded by the Blood General. They had to go there. But the way was dangerous, and time was short. Lyra stepped forward. We'll need to pass through shadow space. Fastest route, but deadly. Jax frowned. No ship survives shadow space. Rhea opened her eyes. Then we'll do what no one else can. Later, in the control room, the stars outside twisted into shadows. Shadow space was not empty. It was alive, full of broken time and whispers. From Lost Travelers. Jax stood near the nav system, checking the route. Lyra walked in quietly, her expression unreadable. You still don't trust her, she said. Jax shook his head. She's just a child. A child with too much power. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Then maybe she's not the problem. Maybe we are. She walked away. But Jax never saw the small device she dropped near the door. That night, Rhea woke up, gasping. She saw fire. Soldiers, her mother screaming. Then she saw something worse. Lyra, standing with the enemy. She snapped awake. Her head hurt. Her skin burned. She walked to the ship's core. Touched the star map. The map shifted. A hidden message played. Voice print recognized. Lyra Voss. Message active. The girl has awakened. Coordinates confirmed. Send the strike. Rhea froze. The betrayal wasn't in the dream. It was real. Suddenly, alarms. Jax ran to the deck. What's happening? Rhea stood at the center, glowing brighter than ever. She called them, Rhea said. Her voice was flat. She betrayed us. Lyra appeared, blaster drawn. I didn't want it to end like this, she said. But the galaxy doesn't need another queen. It needs order. Control. You used me, Rhea whispered. You pretended to protect me, but you were waiting for the right moment. Lyra stepped closer. You were never supposed to live, but once I saw your power, I knew I could sell it. Jax stepped between them. Lyra, don't do this. She looked at him. You think she's still a little girl, but look at her. She's not a child anymore. She's a weapon. The betrayal hit like a blade. Rhea's eyes welled with tears, not of weakness, of grief. She raised her hand not to fight, but to show something. The memory of her mother appeared between them all, glowing in the air. A vision of love, of hope. You see a weapon, Rhea said. But I see a daughter. A light. The vision faded. Lyra hesitated, just for a moment. That's when the blast hit. Enemy ships dropped out of shadow space. Red lights lit the sky. The final battle had begun. Inside the ship, Jax turned to Lyra. It's not too late. Help us stop them. Lyra looked at Rhea, then back at the incoming fleet. Her face softened. I never wanted this, she whispered. Then she ran toward the control panel and activated the shields. The ship's defense system fired into the darkness. But it was too late. A blast struck the deck. Lyra was thrown back into silence. Rhea screamed. The ship shook outside. The enemy flagship opened fire. The Blood General watched from the bridge. The girl is unstable. End it. But deep inside the wrecked cruiser, something else was waking. Raya floated, unconscious. Or so they thought. Then her eyes opened brighter than before. Not blue now, white, pure energy. The room filled with light. And across space, every ship in the enemy fleet suddenly paused, as if held by a hand they could not see. Jox stood, looking at her in awe. Raya, what are you doing? She rose from the broken floor. I'm not running anymore, she said. I'm taking back what was stolen. She was no longer the girl in the trash. She was light. She was storm. She was the last voice of a forgotten kingdom, floating above the ruins of her ship. Raya opened her eyes, not as a child, but as the heir of stars. The enemy fleet hovered in the sky like metal vultures, ready to strike again. But this time, they were afraid, because Raya wasn't just glowing now. She was burning with something older than power. She was remembering minutes earlier. The ship was falling apart. Lyra lay still in the corner. Jox held her hand, whispering her name. She blinked once, just enough to speak. I'm sorry. Protect her. Then her eyes closed. Jox looked up as the floor cracked beneath his feet. Raya, we have to leave. But she was already rising, surrounded by golden light. Go, she said softly. This is where I end it. Above the planet, the Blood General watched from the bridge of his warship. She's just a child. No, said his second in command. She's something else now. He raised his hand. Then let's end this. Fire all weapons. But nothing happened. The weapons wouldn't respond. Every screen on every ship turned blue dot, and on each screen, a symbol appeared. The same glowing symbol Raya wore on her arm. The Queen's seal. Back on the surface, Raya floated to the ancient tower. The same one where her mother's voice was last heard. As she entered, the floor opened like a blooming flower, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside was a prison of light, and in the center, trapped in a stasis field, the Queen. Pale, weak, but alive. Raya stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Mother. The Queen's eyes fluttered open. She smiled. My little star. Suddenly, a blast. The Blood General arrived, teleporting down in black fire. He stood tall, blade drawn. You were never meant to reach her, he hissed. I ended the Queen. Now I'll erase her legacy. Raya stepped in front of her mother. Then you'll have to go through me. The general rushed forward, blade raised. But Raya didn't raise her hands. She lowered her fear. The final battle wasn't a fight. It was a remembering. The walls of the chamber lit up with her mother's memories. Scenes from Raya's birth, her laughter, her first steps, her hiding. The energy responded to love. Raya didn't fight with force. She fought with truth. The general's blade turned to dust before it could touch her, and then the chamber itself rejected him. The floor cracked beneath him. Energy lifted him into the air. Raya whispered, you don't belong here. And with a single wave of her hand, he vanished into the void. Silence. The Queen collapsed into Raya's arms. You've done what I could not, she said. You became the star I hoped you'd be. Jox entered, his face bruised, but smiling. She saved all of us, he said. The Queen looked at him. Then you have a good protector. Days later, across the galaxy, the old empire began to fall. Ships lowered their flags. Planets that once hid in fear began to rise in song. Messages spread through the stars. The bloodline lives. The Queen has returned. The daughter of light leads us now. In the grand hall of Illyria, Raya stood at the center. Her crown was simple. Her voice steady. I was thrown away like trash, she said. But now I understand. The story didn't begin in a palace. It began in the dirt, with a stranger who saw worth in me. A man who didn't care who I was, only what I could become. Jox stood in the crowd, smiling. Raya looked up at the stars through the ceiling dome. This crown isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who ever felt forgotten. She lifted her hand, and the stars above glowed brighter.